So repair the flannel pajamas, trap door. Fine.
They have ones in kid sizes at the little store outside of Yellowstone. So they got like a little thing.
That guy size.
I know.
Probably a good thing.
I don't know. That'd be pretty cute. That would be funny. All right. It's now 11:30. I'm going to go ahead and kick off our pre-commission agenda. I just want to share and my appreciation for our staff that were out and about yesterday for National Night Out. I was able to get to 3 of my neighborhood associations in my district, and I was delighted to see some of our operators, Aaron, and other folks showing off our great equipment and all the cool things that we do. And so just massive appreciation for folks showing up and interacting with our community. So thanks for that. Do we have any housekeeping items? Questions about the agenda? No? Okay.
Madam President,
Oh,
I
Commissioner
do have
McKinney?
some questions on item number 8. So when the director is ready, I'd like
Perfect.
to ask some questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Director, on the consent agenda, item number 8 relates to the dirt walls. And for those who don't have the agenda in front of them, that's just an acronym. I'm not sure exactly what it stands for, but here's my question. This has to do with our remodeling of the new headquarters building. My understanding was that, first of all, are we essentially doing all new partitions in the building are going to be these temporary partitions? Is that the way it's going to be? Or is some of it going to be, permanent install, typical framing, or are all new partitions going to be this sort of thing?
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, the vast majority will be this new system. There will be a few areas where we have to make modifications. One of the reasons why we are recommending moving forward with this modular wall system, the time to construct the standard typical walls, we don't have time. We don't have enough time to accomplish that type of work with the trades and getting people in to get the permitting prior to the our lease at Orchard being expired. So we looked into other options and said, what other tools are there? These go in extremely quickly. They are very clean. We could have staff working in the building without dust going everywhere. They go straight up. And they provide with the wide open space that we have in that building, they provide us the opportunity down the road that if we need to modify the building, we can adjust that. It goes on top of the carpet and up to the ceiling. So it's actually a really, it looks like a standard wall, like you wouldn't know otherwise unless you were a professional knowing what you're looking at there. But it will provide us the good resources and the sound quality benefits that we expect for that building.
So do these partitions also include electrical wiring?
Yes.
Okay. And are they adequate for places where you need a fully enclosed office as opposed to just open cubicle type areas?
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, they're actually for the offices. These are these wall systems are actually, that's what it is. It's the walls for the office areas.
Okay.
So they actually are built to provide that kind of a service. They're clear to the ceiling. They're not the furniture that you saw in the tour last week. They're not that. This is
right.
These are actual walls.
Right. No. Okay. Well, and then so then there are in various locations there are existing partitions that are in place, existing walls and so on. Is there a significant amount of that that's going to be torn out, or is most of that going to remain?
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, the vast majority will remain. There are a few places where we will be making modifications. Some of them, actually, in looking at it in detail, our modular walls that we'll be able to remove that were previously built into that space.
Oh, okay, so some of the existing partitions are the sort of, or at least something like.
Or
sort of
a
modular partition.
version of it,
Okay,
yes.
all right. Then, okay, so then looking at the cost, my recollection is that we talked about what it was going to cost for us to do all the remodeling and modifications to the building that are needed for our use. Total number I recall was something 3.5 million or so. This item by itself is about 2.5 million. Is that in line with the budget, or are we now looking at going over that original budget estimate?
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, I think the numbers that we gave were pretty preliminary early on. They were, I will confess to them, I was looking at them and they were really based on, the best guess we could come up with at that time. We're probably at this point in time closer to between 5 and 6 million. That's in the proposed budget over the next few years. That includes the additional furniture that would be needed, upgrading the things that we found. One of the things we found there is the cabling is more antiquated than this building. It was a different type of cabling in the building. Imagine they served cable, it didn't have the modern fiber services there. So there's other things that we found as we've gotten into the building that have been an added expense. Some things also are costing less. The HVAC is actually a much lower cost than was originally proposed by our inspector. So that's what some of those numbers were based off of as we've gotten into the building and really started to work through the options. We
Okay.
feel positive. I'll tell you, with regards to the DIRTT wall system, we're able to piggyback off of a government-wide contract, and we are getting a discount over and above even that, because of the quantity we're purchasing, to the tune of saving over $500,000.
Okay. So in round numbers then, originally we were talking about, with the purchase price and, improvements, remodeling, et cetera, we were looking at a total cost of about 20 million to get into the new headquarters. Now you're saying it's looking like what? It's probably going to be closer to 22?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't see any other questions, so Director, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Madam President, Commission, welcome. Thank you for being here today. We are excited to have Commission. We have a full agenda ahead of us with lots of important items to be discussed. But we wanted to start out this just recognizing and thank you for joining us in celebrating Stop on Red Week. This is an important issue in our community. We definitely see challenges in terms of people choosing to not stop when there's a red light. And that's caused fatalities. It's caused other serious injuries. This is an important issue. Our communications team is working hard with our partners at the different police and sheriff, with the different jurisdictions to make sure that this issue is made well known in our community. So thank you for joining us in celebrating and recognizing this item. Want to start out by recognizing Mr. Bill Thompson. This morning, Bill's not here. He wouldn't want any recognition, but I'm doing it anyway. We celebrated this morning 35 years at Ada County Highway District. Imagine all the things Bill's touched. He's our senior inspector on our projects team. So of the projects that ACHG has built, significant intersections, some of the hardest ones go to Bill. Bill also serves as our on-call inspector. So anytime there's an issue after hours with the construction site, he's the one who calls and goes. And so just want to recognize him for that tremendous amount of service. And I told him 15 more years, we're going for 50 here with this, but wonderful, wonderful man. Also want to recognize today Mr. Sean Kelly. He is our accessibility coordinator here at the Highway District. Recently, we recognized Dave Rader, who's our supervisor in this group. So now with this certification by Sean, we have two fully certified ADA coordinators. with the top level training to help and advise us in this. So just want to recognize Sean for that tremendous effort. We continued to focus on a number of issues, including as we focused around building safe, building together, and building more. In the spirit of building together, as many know, it's chip seal season. We have that each summer. The team has been working very hard. They are making great progress. Just want to highlight, they are expecting to be done, at least with the main portion of chip seal by the end of the month. Our paint crews will continue work until striping's finalized. Just some things that they've really worked on this year. They've recognized the impact in the close proximity to schools. You'll notice in some areas that where we've been chipping, where we stopped and didn't continue in front of the schools because we didn't believe that the paint would be able to be in place before the school started. So the team is really focused on making sure that incorporating into the build together, build safe, and build more philosophy, really trying to address that. Our paint crews, however, are very actively at work, making sure that those school zones are repainted, those that have been done, as well as new areas that needed refreshed, because obviously we were not chipping everywhere. But they're actively working on that and expect to have that for school starting in the next couple of weeks. The other thing I would highlight, just in that same vein, talking to our traffic operations team, they have been installing a number of pedestrian crossings near schools. Hillsdale, that one will be is done. We've also been installing some additional lighting near schools where it didn't exist. And all of those will be completed before school starts. And just want to express my appreciation to the team for how hard they've worked, taking into account the needs of the community and really trying to incorporate and work with the community and keeping people safe. Also wanted to highlight today, as you all know, we have for a very long time used TELUS as one of our tools to contact the highway district. The team has looked at it in connection with our click fix system that we are working to incorporate, to look to just rebrand this as what we are going to be calling ACHD Connect with us. It incorporates the brand and connecting you to more. We've been able to develop this in staff, but we are working on continuing to develop an app, the text system, all these things that's a little bit broader array than just what the TELUS system provided. And this will incorporate all of those things into what we're going to now call ACHD Connect. This will be implemented over the next 6 months, but we're excited to the team look at this, and we believe it better fits our brand and what we're trying to accomplish with the community.
Ryan, will you be able to show us what this actually looks like and do a demonstration at some point? Because we'll need to see that.
Absolutely.
Great. That's exciting.
Under the spirit of Build Safe, just wanted to highlight that we have a survey that's going out to the public right now as part of our bike-friendly community application. This is put out by the League of American Bicyclists. Every 4 years, you have to reapply to be a certified community. We are currently a silver community, and continue to tell them all the great things that are being done in the community in this area. But part of that process is a public survey. Just wanted you to be aware that that survey is going out now, and we're advertising that in case you get questions. That's what that's all about, is just to get the public's opinion on top of the facts of what and statistics of what we have there.
Mr. Goldthorpe.
I heard this was the same survey that the city of Boise is sending out. Are we sending them out differently?
We're working with our partners on that. The city also applies to be a bike-friendly community. We do it for all of Ada County. They apply for just the city themselves. The other thing that I wanted to just highlight while I'm here on the topic of Build Safe, a few weeks ago, we talked about the Linder and Hatchery Road intersection. And we had reached out to the state and sought their participation, the Idaho Department of Parks and Rec, in some flagging there during the peak hours. The state declined. We haven't, as we've worked on this, we haven't gotten any forward progress. And so I just wanted the commission to know from an operations perspective, our recommendation was not to proceed with the flagging. There's obviously some concern there, but we don't feel it's in the best interest as a highway district to take this on by ourselves. It was going to provide services on a limited time basis, just on weekends and in peak hours, but to the tune of over $50,000 just for the flagging services through October, when they expect to actually be done with that work. So just wanted to daylight that back to the commission and follow up on that conversation.
Madam President.
Commissioner McKinney.
Yeah, and I've spoken with our director on this issue. This is a location that if you drive past, during, it doesn't really have to be peak hours. The traffic is very, very, bumper to bumper. It's only a 2-lane section in this area on Linder Road, and the Hatchery Road intersection. The challenge, of course, is that with the state doing construction there at the Eagle Island State Park, they've closed off an access that comes off of Highway 44, State Street. And the challenge is there's probably, I don't know, 100 homes or so back in that area. And the connection to Highway 44 is a signalized intersection. And with that, closed off, or basically, you can't get through that way. All of the residents in the area then go down Hatchery Road. And that, of course, is just a stop controlled T intersection at Linder Road. And the significance of the weight there for any driver trying to make a turn off of Hatchery Road onto Linder Road is so significant that I'm concerned that we have a fairly significant safety situation, or at least something that can be a safety situation. I'd like to encourage us as a commission. We can find the funds, and of course the state estimates their construction will go through beginning of October. I think last I heard they said October 8th. Construction usually goes over, but in any case, sometime in October. So yes, it would be a cost to us, but I would hate to see a severe accident at that intersection because of the congestion, when it's something that we could, on a temporary basis, deal with and prevent a tragedy from happening in the first place. I would really like this commission, if we can, to ask staff to find a way to find the funds to be able to do this on a temporary basis. It's too short of a time to get a short-term signal in there, but I think it's something we could do on a temporary basis to make a big difference in that area. So I'd like for the rest of the commission to weigh in, because I think this is something we can do and ought to do.
Well, Commissioner, before I turn over to Commissioner Goldthorpe, so Commissioner McKinney, I've personally reached out and haven't gotten anywhere, and I think it would really be beneficial if you reached out to some of your contacts.
Are you talking about the residents?
Yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, because I think ultimately this is an impact that's been brought on by the Parks and Rec, State Department of Parks and Rec.
Right.
And, I think since this is your district, obviously I'm very concerned as well, but I feel like it would be really helpful if you were to have some conversations and try to motivate folks to come to the table and partner with us. I think that would be the
Meaning-
way to go.
What, get residents to partner with us? Is that what
No,
you're saying?
no, like chat with the state, chat with the mayor, chat your contacts, right? Because you're advocating
I
for
see.
your
So
district.
get residents to talk with other agencies and see if they'll do something.
That and a variety of other ways. Doesn't
Okay.
not just.
Because I have spoken with residents down there, and they're the ones that expressed the concern in the first place about
Right.
the inability to get in and out of their neighborhood. And
I think I'll be more specific, specifically the Department of Parks and Rec, other elected officials,
mhm.
have them nudge them to help us do this right. Commissioner Goldthorpe.
Yeah, I would not object at all to accommodating what Commissioner McKinney has said, but I would suggest that possibly he could give Representative Rick Just a call, and Rick could direct traffic to the most effective way to approach Parks and Rec. That was his baby for a long time.
Interesting.
Well, I
Commissioner Hanson?
yeah,
Yeah, Madam President and Commissioner McKinney, we actually have some precedents. As you will recall, last fall, we were approaching the opening of a new school, and something that the school district was supposed to have done for safety wasn't done. And a lot of residents were very concerned, and we involved them, put a lot of clout from those residents and ACHD on the school district, and came to an agreement that we would in fact pay to put in the facilities that were necessary before school started. And then eventually the school district did agree to then reimburse ACHD. So I think that's the course we should take. Say, yeah, we're prepared to front the cost because this has to be done quickly, but you need to come up with the resources to reimburse us. We have the capacity to do, I think sometimes because the agency, in that case, the school district, doesn't do school crossings, they do everything else. They don't do a lot of these. It didn't become quite as urgent. And I think that's the same thing with the State Parks Department, so that it make it clear, we'll front the costs, but the understanding is, with the support of legislators who represent that area, we need to be, the taxpayers, the property taxpayers of Ada County should be reimbursed for that, because obviously that's a obligation that the department would hold. So I think we have some precedents on that, and that's the approach I would recommend.
Okay.
Commissioner Gold, did you have something?
Yeah, and I'll just add, I've talked with the residents out there as well, and I know that this is a, big frustration and concern, and I agree with Commissioner McKinney's concern. And I also agree with the, staff recommendation. I think that Commissioner Hanson has a really good point that we need to continue to push for partnering opportunities on this. I think there will be some changes to the way that traffic interacts out there with school going back in session next week, and we can continue to monitor it. But I do agree that it's a pressing issue and that we should be ready to partner to address it and continue to look for, because I do think that the increase in traffic isn't just specifically related to this. So to continue to look for ways to improve the situation out there overall. But yeah, I would agree that residents and legislators and other elected should all be encouraged to put pressure to partner and address the issue.
Okay. Thank you. We're always happy to take direction. This is a hard one to determine what's the best course of action. Wanted to give you an update on Starview Drive. This picture may be an interesting perspective when I'm saying Starview Drive. That team want to first update the commission that Warm Springs is back open. That was one of the major checkpoints and milestones that were in that agreement and that extension that was provided to them. And they've met that prior to school being open. In the process of doing some of the excavation, they uncovered a natural springs. That will, why I'm bringing this up is just to make sure that you understand that will not help the project move forward quickly. They are working to find a positive solution there. You can see that that's water that's coming up from the ground, not that was placed there from above. So that's an interesting challenge that we find digging in this area. We encounter it in a number of different places. Anytime someone starts to dig into the foothills, water seems to show up in different ways. But just wanted to update the commission that while they are making progress and have met their requirement with regards to Warm Springs related to the school opening, the progress is slowed somewhat as they work through this solution and get that engineered.
Ryan, has that been communicated to the neighborhood? That they should expect this as a result this spring?
Madam President, Commissioners, Christy Little, Development Services Manager. We're waiting to provide that full communication until we have some dates. So once this water was discovered, their geotechnical engineer started working on some mitigation. And this is particularly in the wall area of Starview Drive. And so we also have our geotechnical engineer reviewing their documents, and we're just about to the point of approval. Once we get through those, the new plans to address the water mitigation, then we'll have a better sense of the timeline, and we can share that information with you and the public as well.
Do you know how long it's going to take to get that additional information?
That is out of our hands, but I would say within the next month, we'll have a more firm timeline in front of us.
I would just say, because that coincides with school starting and folks expecting that it to be open. So I think it
Oh.
would be important to share that you've discovered this and you're trying to figure out those dates.
Sure. Well, just for clarification, Warm Springs Avenue is open, and that is that was the expectation.
Okay,
Starview Drive, the expectation is that it's completed by the end of December.
okay.
So we're not there yet, but we're also probably going to be looking at some delays there. So that's why we didn't want to put out information yet until we've
Thank
got
you
more
for
solid
clarifying.
information.
Okay,
The commitment from the developer and what was in the agreement was that Warm Springs would be open by August 13th, and they already have opened. So they've met that first deadline.
okay, thank you.
Madam
Commissioner Hanson?
President, there's smart people up there in that neighborhood. And I would encourage you to communicate what we know. And then as we get more information, rather than wait, so that we communicate what we know as they prepare. Because chances are, they walk up and down this hill, they know something, and they're talking about it. So to the extent that we know something about, a contingency, which chances are everybody up there says, yep, we've run into water too when we've built homes. So it's not a surprise, but rather than wait for everything, all the details and all the engineering reports and all the potential changes and deadlines, more communication is better than less. So to the extent that we can communicate something, I think that's very important. And the neighborhoods, they've got some good leaders and they would appreciate it.
We can
Thank
do
you.
that.
Commissioner Filter, did you have something?
Well, I was just going to say, nobody's more motivated about this than Christie, because she doesn't want to get Fred's phone call.
Thanks for the update, Christy and Ryan, on this.
Commission just wanted to again highlight a couple things coming up. Our public comment period for the integrated 5-year work plan is set to close on August 14th. Same day the Boise and West Ada School District starts. We do have a pedestrian advisory group. CUNA School District, which starts just a little bit after that on August 22nd. The team has been, as mentioned earlier, the team is definitely focused. We're doing a review of our construction zones, our walk routes, all sorts of things to just make sure that we are ready for school to start. It is a time when we do get a lot of input as children start to walk and parents drive and other things. We are trying to do a review and make sure that we have good information out. Our communications team's also putting out good information with regards to not passing buses, I guess we should say. All this leading up to the end of the month when you have your budget adoption public hearing. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thanks, Ryan. Questions? Commissioner Hanson?
Just have one. I think there's a map, and that's public comment up to the 14 is designed for the map. If there could be something to clarify that neighborhoods, individuals who have asked for projects and doesn't appear on the map, they can't comment on them because the process of commenting is clicking on the project. If there's some clear way they could comment, of course, I'm thinking particularly Barber Valley where there are no projects there. They're like, well, where do we comment? Because we have submitted requests. So just make that clear how they can comment between now and the 14th We've been communicating with individuals over there and the neighborhood leaders, but not everything that was recommended by our partners is on the map. And so there just needs to be some clear way. It's not like we don't want to hear their comments, and that, yeah, maybe this should be put in for 2030, 2031 or whatever. So if there could be some clarification when you get the next email out to everybody, hey, we've got a week to address additional comments, that'd be great.
Wonderful.
Any other
Okay.
questions? Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Ryan. All right, well, it's now 12 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone that's here in person and joining us online. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first order of business is to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next order of business is to adopt the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered routine and are action items unless otherwise noted. The consent agenda is enacted by one motion. There is no separate discussion on items on the consent agenda. If a commissioner or citizen would like, they may request any item be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. I don't think we have any of those requests, so I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President,
Commissioner McKinney,
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. So we've got a packed agenda, as we talked about earlier in our pre-commission portion of today's meeting. The first one is the presentation of Road Scholars and Road Masters by LTAC. Welcome, Ms. Layla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, Layla Crawl, the Administrator of the Local Highway Technical Assistance Council, or LTAC. Thanks. This is always a big day for us. We love coming to do this presentation of the Road Scholars and Road Masters for the ACHD. I'm really excited today to introduce you to our new T2 Director. Cheney Rhodes joined us. This is his third week on the job, but I thought it would be a good opportunity for him to introduce himself and present the awards today.
Fabulous. Welcome.
Thank you. A little bit about myself. I was 25 years at Highway District 4 and decided to make a change. So, so far it's been great. I've also been an instructor for the LTAC Center for going on about 20 years now. So, a little bit different on this end of it than sitting and teaching in front of the students. But again, thank you for having us. The training portion of the T2 Center is offered in the form of classes held throughout the state. Generally in the spring and fall, the classes we offer cover a wide variety of topics. They include safety, professional development, a large portion being the construction and maintenance techniques. One of the pluses with our program is the students that attend these classes. At the end of the class, they do take an exam that they must pass with an 80% or more. And that's our hopes that they have the knowledge to bring back to you guys and immediately be able to put it into play with their daily job requirements. And there's two levels to our program right now, the Road Scholar, Road Master. The Road Master or the Road Scholar includes approximately 80 hours of instruction time. It includes 7 core classes, such as roadway materials, pavement maintenance, and preservation, flagger certification, and then also 4 electives. Each student has 4 years to complete this. Road Scholars are presented with a certificate, hat, and engraved Leatherman tool. And the following employees are Heather Friddle, next, Aaron Kyle, next, David Upshot. Next, David Upshaw. Next, Maxwell Jameson. Andrew Johnson. And then Aaron Ketchmar.
We get a quick photo
Mhm.
with the Rhodes Scholars. Commissioners may need to stand on that ledge, so be careful and watch your step. Okay. Quick smiles for me. Thank you. Sorry, the Rhodes Scholars, please don't leave. If I can meet you outside, that would be great. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. That's a first.
That's okay. All right, proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. The next up is your Roadmasters, and that builds upon materials taught through the Road Scholar program as well, includes 80 hours of time for core classes. These classes get a little bit more intense. We start looking at environmental BMPs, roadway drainage, speed limit and speed zones, and then also offer 5 electives for this class. And the following Roadmasters are Jeff Witten, I hope I pronounced that right. Justin Attaway. Cody Benishek. Casey Broden. John Priscilla Jr. Donald Yonker.
All right, one more picture. Friday. Stop and run, scholar, that's fixed. All right. Smiles for me. Perfect. And I would like to meet you guys outside, so just hang out for me. Thanks.
You can go ahead. He just wants to
Oh, okay,
chat
he's
him up.
fine.
It's fine.
One of the last things that I do want to mention, as you guys have noticed, especially your
Could you look closer to the mic?
Hold on.
Could you get a
just
little closer
moment.
to the mic? Yeah.
one of the things that I want to take a chance to mention is, as you guys are aware, you're the biggest highway district in the area. You have the most attendees. One of the things that we've realized is not only just the Road Scholar and Roadmaster that we're seeing areas that need training and as well as advancement is leadership programs. We have a lot of new employees and our older employees are retiring. And so we are in the process of making a leadership program that's solid. We currently have 4 classes up and running now, and we're in the works of 2 more classes. So our goal is to continue the education, and with the support of you guys, I think we'll only get better. So again, I thank you for your time.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. This is huge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Layla. All right, so we'll move on to our second item. It's the fiscal year 2024 Q3 impact fee program balance. Welcome, Ms. Christine Tandler.
Sorry, I was sleeping over there. Madam President, Commissioners, for the record, Christine Tandler. I'm here to present Q3 impact fee program balance. Did I already say my name? You good? Okay, got it, thanks. Oh, I just turned this off. Wow. The year-to-date summary, one notation that I wanted to make on this is that the FY23 ending balance was updated. It's going through and reevaluating and assuring accounting for all of our expenses appropriately. And there were some adjustments in the fourth quarter of FY23, specifically related to funding for the strategic initiative funds that we got related to Highway 16 projects. So we're programming those the strategic initiative funding before we utilize impact fees for that project. We have multiple revenue sources that those projects can qualify for. So there was that adjustment. At the end of FY23, originally it was 8.5 million. So put those costs back into the program. And then there was also an adjustment related to impact fee eligible projects. And a calculation error. Originally, it was not calculating in specifically the Lake Hazel Maple Grove project. So that's why the expenses have increased from Q2. And then our Q3 balance is still a positive program balance of $11.6 million after those adjustments. And the main impact fee projects, a couple out on Amity, McMillan and Black Cat Roundabout, and then the Lake Hazel and Maple Grove construction project that's going on this year. Extraordinary impact fees, mostly just increases in the West Foothills. We do have some Warm Springs Mesa, that's one. And then typically in the next quarter, we'll see those payments go out to the developer. And then in confirmation with 246A, Resolution 2331, impact fee program balance of 11.6 million. I'll stand for questions.
Thanks, Christine. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
Madam President.
Commissioner McKinney.
Christine, just one quick question, just to clarify, you mentioned the funding, the strategic initiative funds that were part of these calculations. Is that the 36 million that we got from the state for the Highway 16 related things, or is that something different?
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, correct. Those are Highway 16 projects that were kind of shown 2 places.
Okay.
The tracking of this is getting more convoluted, but we're getting there.
It's complex. Any other questions? Okay, so we don't have to approve it, do we?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. All right, then we'll roll into our third item, which is the fiscal year 24 second budget adjustment. This is a request for approval, correct? Okay, all right, Christine.
Right. Madam President, for the record, Christine Tandler, Budget Manager at the Highway District. I'm here to present second budget adjustments for FY24. So the approved adjusted revenue budget was $246 million. We're looking at a proposed revenue budget after second adjustments of $264.7 million. Most of that increase being an increase in interest revenue. That'll take us to a total of about $7.5 million in interest revenue, as well as the increase of the utilization of the future facilities funds for the purchase of Meeker specifically is what is there. The cost share and federal aid revenue adjustments, those are project specific, so they're corresponding to decreases on the capital side. A lot of those have to do with the access to opportunity. We're working through the design contract for those. So this is just truing up actuals to when the funds will be spent. A lot of those you've already seen in FY25's budget accounted for there. And I believe that contract should be on the agenda in the next couple weeks. And the commuter ride adjustments is, we had spoken about during the FY 25 budget, still working through to get vans. This is truing up the FY 24 budget, not able to get vans. So reducing both the expenditure side and the revenue side. And then there is that bigger amount in FY 25 to hopefully be able to get those vans and utilize the federal money. On the operational side, we do have an adjustment of just over $2 million. A big portion of that is maintenance and fleet. Mobile equipment. We had originally planned on leasing some sweepers. We have purchased them instead. One of the I don't want to say issues. One of the struggles with being able to lease is one, what rates are and interest rates are, as well as when we receive the pieces of equipment, we need to receive them in a short amount of time in order to wrap them into a lease. And we're still working through delivery schedules and being able to get all equipment close together. So we got 4 sweepers kind of spaced out between 6 and 7 months. So we elected to purchase those rather than lease them. And so that's where that adjustment came. And then the maintenance adjustments have to do with overtime in the chip contract. And then the winter operations adjustment is both the contract, the mag chloride, and the salt adjustments, leaving a proposed operational budget of $94 million. On the capital adjustment, again, you'll see this decrease, not again, but you'll see this decrease just about $10 million. 15.8 is related to rescheduled projects. The downtown Boise implementation project with CCDC is the Grove project. For Lake Hazel and Maple Grove, that increase is related specifically to one change order related to winter concrete and accelerated construction costs. The safe sidewalks is one, not only, but it's attributable to a neighborhood off Cartwright and Bogus, El Pilar neighborhood. A lot of improvements needed there that we're working on. And then the traffic signals, new and upgrade, are related to the new traffic controllers that we're purchasing. So these are actually the controllers that will go into each of the signal boxes at the intersections as we move through that process. Proposed capital budget of $97.4 million. The capital facilities budget, a lot of these are just truing up to what actual spends are, and then contracts through the end of the year. As you can see, we had some adjustments to Apple and UStick that had to do with truing up the design as we moved through that process this last spring, and then adding on the CMGC contract with McIlvain. Cloverdale Decant and the TOC is just programming those monies more appropriately in the fiscal year that'll be expended, the maker purchase, and then anticipated remodel costs within the fiscal year of 24. Commuter ride, comparable adjustments just on the expenditure side related to the van purchases, reducing the expenses that mirror the revenue. In summary, we have a variance of about $25.8 million. Of that, there are $17 million in rescheduled projects between capital projects and capital facilities, and the proposal of about $8.6 million being put back into future facilities reservation for continued support of our new facilities. Staff recommendation is to approve budget adjustments as outlined in the staff report. I will stand for questions.
Thanks, Christine. I think that makes a lot of sense. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner McKinney?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Christine, I wonder if we can call back up the slides there. Just a couple quick questions, and maybe I missed this. The kind of way back at the beginning, the revenue budget, first of all, that 14.2 million revenue, increased revenue. What's the source of that?
14.2.
Yeah, right here at the top.
Oh, from first budget adjustments? Let me go back in my my brain. A bulk of that in first budget adjustments was related to a true up related for highway users fund revenue that was received. We originally received the first quarter payment the last quarter of FY23, And then we were receiving 3 additional payments within FY '24, had to do with a legislative bill that came out last year. So 16 million of that is related.
So I guess what I'm saying is, were we not expecting to receive that money at this time? Is that why it's an adjustment here?
Right, Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, correct. So at the time that we adopted the FY '24 budget, we had just received the first of the 4 quarterly payments related to that bill that was approved last year from the legislature. So it was first adjustments when we had the opportunity to add that into our budget as far as what we would then receive.
Okay, all right. And then the, one of the kind of the big items, and this kind of, in our last meeting, we discussed it, and I've been thinking about it since then. A number of the, I guess, looking forward to next year's budget, a lot of the kind of shortfalls that we originally look at have been made up for with reserve funds being used. And so my question, and I'm not sure that when I asked it, that the information was completely available at the time, but when it comes to using reserved funds, my question is, do we have a reserve that's of kind of a fixed amount that we're depleting by doing that? Or is this just an ongoing thing that things move and we just kind of have more or less kind of like a slush fund that we can move funds from one year to another? I know that's the wrong word. Slush fund, that's not the right word. But in any case, a fund where we can set aside money in any given year to be used the next year or what have you. Is that all we're doing when we say that we're using reserve funds, like looking forward to our fiscal year 25 budget, when it says that we're using funds from reserved funds to do X, Y, and Z? That's just taking it from this set aside where we can set things aside from year to year. Is that what we're talking about?
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, yeah. So one of the things that Sherwin is excellent at is maintaining our cash balance and assuring that we have the appropriate fund balance and all of those requirements for all of the governmental accounting standard board statements that are out there. One of the things related to it is that at the end of each year, during the audit process, we go through and verify and see what our cash balance is, how much we have to have in reservations. So this State Highway 16 strategic initiative funding has to be maintained. We have to show that as a line item, that we have those funds in our financials. It's all within the same bank account, but it is allocated out separately. So one of the things that happens through the budgeting process is that we work closely with Sherwin to ensure that what we're budgeting and what we're programming out of above and beyond what the new revenue is, that we're utilizing within his discretion, additional funds out of cash.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Well, and so I guess what I'm asking is, do accounting standards, et cetera, require us to have a separate fund set aside for, I don't know, rainy day, emergencies, what have you, and have to maintain it at a certain level all the time? Or is that not the case?
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, yeah. So through the GFOA, they have a recommendation for 2 months of expenditures or revenues, whichever is greater, 2 months of operating budget in there. It's not in a separate fund. It's just in our fund balance. It's just unallocated so that essentially we could operate for X amount of time.
So 2 months of operating expenses. Okay. What's the number? How much is that?
40.
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, the number is right now, it depends on your budget, but the number is around between $30 to $40 million. When we talk about pulling from future facility reservation or things like that, the commission historically has put aside money for these things within that same bank account. Consider it your savings. We put it in our savings, and we're at the point where we are able to pull that back out because we have expenses that we've been saving for.
So, but this fund, in any case, it's kind of like a reservoir, and it sort of has a minimum. We can't go below a certain level. Is that essentially
Correct.
how it works? Okay. And so with all of these adjustments and such, or excuse me, with all of the looking forward to our next year's budget, funding this or that with reserve funds. We're not infringing on that in any way. It's not like we're, emptying the strategic petroleum reserve or something like that, right? We're still in good shape as far as reserves are concerned, even when we tap reserve funds for
Madam
ongoing
President,
projects.
Commissioner McKinney, we would not propose a budget that would put us below that.
Right. Okay.
That said, we are watching that closely and we review it regularly to ensure that that is the case.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Christine? Okay, well, there's a request for approval. So commissioners, is there a motion?
Yes,
Commissioner Goldthorpe,
Madam President, I would make a motion to approve the fiscal year 24 second budget adjustment.
moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just.
Commissioner
do-
Hanson.
Do we need to specifically state that we're also reserving $8.5 million for future facilities in the motion?
That's part of the budget adjustment.
Yeah, I think
I would
that's
agree.
notated.
Okay, I saw that on the slide. The request needed to be specific or not. With that knowledge,
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Christine.
Thank you.
All right, our fourth and final regular agenda item is the authorization and order of condemnation for the U-Stick and Black Cat intersection ACHD project number 32, 2024, parcel 7. Property owners are Kerwin. This has come up a few different times. So if the number looks familiar, it is. But over to you.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners. For the record, David Serdar, right-of-way supervisor for the Ada County Highway District. As President Pickering noted, this has been before the commission. We originally brought this before the commission on June 12th. 2024. We put it for a few weeks, and then at that time, we also, as staff, asked this to be moved back into this August date so that there would be plenty of time for negotiations to continue. The property is within the U-Stick and 10 Mile and Black Cat intersection project. The owners are William and Gina Kerwin. The property is part of our ACHD 2024-2028 integrated 5-year work plan, and construction is scheduled to begin in fiscal year 25. Here is a vicinity map of the location. You can see U-Stick Road going from right to left there. There is a canal that kind of goes diagonally into U-Stick Road. And as well, we can see this property. It's just kind of south of the canal, sits adjacent to Black Cat. Here is the site map. The right-of-way acquisition is in green. The permanent easement is in red, which is down there on the kind of the south side of the underneath the temporary construction easement. And the contemporary construction easement is in the kind of purple. The fee acquisition is 9,665 square feet. The permanent easement is 401 square feet, and the temporary construction easement is 3,568 square feet. The size of the property before the acquisition is 2.743 acres. After the acquisition, the property is 2.52 acres. The property is actually zoned rural urban transition. ACHD and the property owner have had extensive conversations regarding the driveway and the Idaho power pole. I would say most of these concerns they've been discussed, and they've also reached a resolution for the power pole as well as the driveway location. At this time, there are still open issues relating to bids as well as value. At this time, we do need to move forward with the order of condemnation so that if we're not able to come to a resolution with the property owners, we can move forward with the condemnation action. as has been, this is the last parcel on this project that needs to be acquired or that ACHD needs possession of to build the project. It is staff's recommendation that the commission declare the acquisition area necessary for the project and right of way and a public use, authorize the staff to proceed with the condemnation of the acquisition area and execute an order of condemnation for the acquisition area. As always, and I can tell you, we've had conversations within the last day. That ACHD staff, and then subsequently to that, if need be, our legal team will continue the negotiations all throughout the process, as we always do. I will remain standing for any questions.
Thanks, Dave.
Sorry, I almost forgot that.
I'm sorry, I was like waiting for your transition. Yeah, Commissioner Goldthorpe.
Okay, just to clarify for my own
Sure.
sake and maybe others, how far apart are we on the value of the land that we're asking for?
Madam President, Commissioner Goldthorpe, we have, as a group, we have presented an offer. We have also talked about another value. We do not have a value from the Kerwins at this time, at least as of yesterday, when we were talking to them, so I can't give you that number.
So we've done what we're going to do in terms of determining value, and we're waiting to see if there's anything more or less that we can get that's okay.
Yeah.
Now, another question, and that has to do with the driveway and the bids.
Mm-hmm.
Proceeding with this is not going to impact the amount of money that it's going to cost to have the driveway relocated, correct?
Madam President, Commissioner Goldthorpe, we do not have the bids now.
Right.
But we have done this many ways throughout the past, which we could, if we had the bids now, we could put them in the existing contract and make it
But
easy.
not having those bids is not going to impact us being able just to accept them and do it.
Correct.
Okay.
We can do that all the time. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President,
Commissioner McKinney?
just kind of a procedural question. Given that we're deciding on an order of condemnation, does this need to be a public hearing right now? Do we need to have opportunity for public to
Oh, I
weigh
was
in?
gonna ask
on
if
this?
the property owner was present, but
Yeah.
that's after staff
Well,
questions.
that's a question for our council. Does this need to be a public hearing?
Say that.
It doesn't say on the agenda, but.
No, the agenda doesn't say it, but I'm wondering.
Morning, Madam President, Commissioner Steve Price, General Counsel for the record. We're fine. We did open the hearing in the past and we've extended it. So,
So the hearing is still open.
right.
All right. So this is a public hearing, so we can still take testimony, et
course.
cetera, until the hearing is closed.
Yes.
All right, good, great. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Commissioner Hanson?
Yeah, I'm curious because we've talked all the way around it. What are the numbers? First of all, what's the cost of this, the fair market value of this, and what is the overall cost of the project? So the two numbers, which we haven't discussed yet.
Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, we have an appraisal which we made an offer for at $112,000. We have negotiated, at least put forward some other numbers as well. We typically don't put those negotiated numbers in the.
Right. But just the ballpark, so we know, is this, a couple $1,000, couple $100,000?
The property was appraised for $112,000 and that's what we made the offer for.
And what's the total cost of the project?
A lot.
Madam President, Commissioner, I think Diane's getting it for us here.
Can you say them in the mic?
Yeah, Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, it's been reported that it's between 10 and $11 million.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Well,
10 and $11 million to expand this intersection. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Are y'all the property owners?
Yes.
Would you like to speak? You're welcome to.
20 minutes or as long?
Could you just state your name and
Yeah,
address? for the
William
record, please?
Kerwin, property owner at 3155 North Black Cat. Madam President, Commissioners, we've had several meetings with them. Every time that we've had a meeting, they've learned some things about the property and we've learned some things, made some adjustments. We did come in for a meeting yesterday, was making pretty good progress. Getting some things ironed out with Seth and Becca and Dave. And then the wife had some concerns about some monetary impacts that we will be incurring. Then the tone became very hostile towards my wife and the answers are very short. This individual, it was Dave, volunteered to leave the room. And from there, the meeting kind of went downhill. So we're open to negotiations and getting this figured out. We found that, again, every time that we have a meeting, something new comes up. There will be concrete poured from the intersection back past our property. Found out yesterday there's going to be a 23-day cure time, so there won't be any access. The first access will be gone by the time they pour that. So we just asked for a continuation so that we can get negotiations maybe in a more friendly environment and get this. We were also it was brought up that we could get counsel and, they were starting to get aggressive as far as like citing case law and this and that. And we were, we don't do this every day. So we were, trying to get informed consent like we talked about last time to make sure that we have all the information that we need to make a, decision that's best for us and our property. And, when the hostile environment, it kind of shut things down on that aspect. So we'd ask for a continuation just so that we can continue the negotiations. I think we're close, but it just kind of went a little bit too aggressive with some of the questions yesterday.
Well, Mr. Kerwin, thanks. And thank you for being here and letting us know that things aren't, the temperature isn't helpful to the negotiation.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you
Yeah,
guys
you're
coming here
welcome.
and sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Steve, did you have something to share?
Again, good morning, Madam President, Commissioner Steve Price, General Counsel for the record. Well, first off, I most certainly am not happy to hear that our right-of-way negotiations were heated. I wasn't involved in that, but I will tell you that you can go ahead with the condemnation order today. The negotiations will not stop. And we will not file an action until we get those resolved. This may be the best route to go because the negotiations will involve the legal department directly. And we're most certainly will be more focused. We will be focused on trying to find a resolution. So, and I appreciate the request by the property owner to try and find a resolution, but the order of condemnation won't impede that. If anything, it may help it.
Commissioner Goldthorpe?
Sure, Steve, that maybe you can answer this. I know that actions such as this are for the very most part and most often based on our construction schedule and the necessity we have for doing certain portions of it. In this case, we got to move a pole. We've got irrigation stuff to consider, which can only be done at certain times of the year and you can't push it out. I'm not smiling when I say this, but I'm remembering one of the first condemnations that you and I went through, which was just down the road on Black Cat.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring it up because I was kind of a pain in the ass in that whole scenario. But, and most everyone here who remembers that, remembers how well it turned out. Surprise to me. But since then, I've discovered and know and can commit to the Kerwins that the result will not be negative. The timing issue here is incredibly important to us and to commitments that have been made to the city of Meridian and others to get certain projects done by a certain time so that we don't have to spend another tens of millions of dollars on improvements to Ustick that we don't want to do. This action may seem harsh in one sense, but when Steve says there will be nothing filed, that's exactly what he means. This is only an action so that we can continue the progress that we have moving forward on this particular project. It will not impede the result of the negotiations for the price of this property. It will not impede your ability to do exactly what you want with that driveway, with the contractors of your choice for whatever it's going to cost. Correct, Steve?
Madam President, Commissioner Goldthorpe, I couldn't say it any better.
Thanks. If you feel it's necessary, and I'm speaking to the Kerwins now, going forward because of what you expressed as a negative situation from yesterday, for your commissioner or this commissioner to sit in on anything that you feel that we should, so that you can feel more comfortable about where this is going. I will volunteer that. I can't volunteer it for Dave, but I can volunteer it for me because I already know how this is going to wind up. But what is really important to us right now, which I don't expect you to understand, is the scheduling, the timing. We cannot push this out until the next construction year. It just can't happen. Please understand that, and please don't infer anything negative on the necessity we have of going forward with this.
Madam President, and just kind of, I most certainly compliment Commissioner Goldthorpe's comments. I think one way to say it is that this is the last parcel on this project. And we have really tried with the Kerwins to try and find a resolution. But we're now up against the wire. And the wire is caused by the district in the schedules, many of the issues that you have raised, water, irrigation, power utilities, and the like. Those commitments were at a kind of a deadline where we have to start making those commitments to be able to keep this project on the construction schedule that's been committed to.
Steve, do you mind just staying up really quick? So is there anyone else that would like to testify on this issue? Is there anyone else, Stacy, online? No. Okay, so close the public hearing.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. Commissioners?
Madam President,
Commissioner McKinney?
I think I'd like to echo most of what Commissioner Goldthorpe has said, that basically again, if we approve this order of condemnation, it doesn't bring an end to the negotiations. It simply allows the next steps in the process to go forward. And I'm absolutely committed, as I believe the district is, to negotiating in good faith and finding a solution that can work for everyone. And given that this intersection is in my geographical area of the county, of the district, I'm happy to get involved too, if that can help. I don't want to get involved if I'm going to make it worse. But you know, I certainly share your concerns about temporary access and so on, and all those things are necessarily a part of these negotiations. And I'll be happy to do whatever I can to help it go forward. But I do agree, as was mentioned, you know, we need to move forward. That doesn't mean everything comes to a halt. It means that we can still finish out the process and come to a mutually agreeable resolution. And I think that's possible, and I hope we can do it in a way that's not negative. So thanks. I think, you know, I do think we should go forward, and I'm again, hopeful that we can do it in a way that works out to everyone's satisfaction as much as that is possible. Because the reality is, in many cases, we're never necessarily completely 100% happy with the way things work out, but we do the best that we can in the circumstances. And that, I think, is the direction we're headed. And I'm hopeful to help push that along.
So is that a motion?
I can make it a motion. I would move that we approve the authorization and order of condemnation for the Ustick and Black Cat intersection, ACHD project number 322024, parcel 7, the property owner, the Kerwins.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
Madam President,
Commissioner Hanson?
just to comment, the resources that are going to be used to ultimately condemn this private property are coming from multiple sources. In fact, we heard a budget update that there are multiple sources of money, impact fees. Much of this is impact fee eligible. This is also eligible from the Strategic Initiatives Fund. The legislature has basically made a finding that they want money spent in this area near Highway 16's expansion. Meridian has also sent information to us for specific requests, specific findings that they want all the arterials that are in Meridian to be expanded. So both with the legislature's finding of necessity and the city of Meridian's finding of necessity, this is what they want. And I think it's important that this commission unanimously respect what the city of Meridian wants for their area and what their delegation does. It's very, very expensive. And this is a consequence of expanding our arterials throughout that part of the county. We will have other property, private property that will have to be taken in the future. But I think it's important. Often I find difficulty in finding public necessity and just expanding for trying to reach a level of service in 2050 or whatever. But in this case, we basically have some findings. We can base our judgment on the fact that the city of Meridian is doing this. And I think it's really important that this commission unanimously respect the land use requests of our city partners. And so I will be supporting the motion.
Commissioner Goldthorpe?
Sure. And while I don't disagree with what Commissioner Hanson just said, I will tell you that from my perspective, yes, we acknowledge and support the land use decisions from our municipal partners. But under no circumstances does that mean you're going to put anybody in the public over a barrel. And I hope you understand that. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you both for coming. And I'm sure, yeah, we'll be in touch. Thank you. All right. Moving on to discussion items, public communications. Is there anyone that would like to address the commission at this time? Nope, nothing. Okay. All right. Well, then the meeting is adjourned. Do we want a little break before we go into the
Let's take
budget?
5 minutes.
Okay, so let's resume at 12:55. How about that? Okay. All right. It's 1:57. We'll resume our post-commission agenda. The first item is fiscal year 25-26 budget publication review. Christine Tandler. Yes. Thank you.
I can't do this. This is a test. Are you ready?
This is a secret, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you guys questions about what numbers you can see.
Like, I don't
You
know what
ready?
you're talking about. I can say
Madam President, Commissioners, for the record, Christine Tandler, Budget Manager. I'm here. Is what you have is not a secret.
No.
There's no subliminal messaging in there. This is the public hearing publication that I will be sending to the newspaper per Idaho statute. We will be publishing it next Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the following Tuesday, Wednesday, in accordance with all the requirements. The budget will be available for public review. There will be a hard copy, as there usually is, or as there always is, at the front desk, should anyone come in. And then it will be also posted online. The only change in this chart, in this notice versus the packet that y'all have received is that in order to balance, we did pull $2.2 million of cash reserves in working with Sherwin, so that we do show a balanced budget for FY25 of $233.6 million. So that's the change there. I do have those updated pages, should you want them. It updated the memo and a couple other charts, but overall there's the expenditure side did not change in the budget. So again, this is just according to statute, what we're required to do, and then in preparation for the public hearing on the 28th.
Well, thanks, Christine. Commissioner McKinney?
Yes, thank you. Christine, looking at the revenue table,
Mhm.
second line, what is this property tax replacement funds?
Oh, right. Madam President, Commissioner McKinney. So one thing that I was made re-aware of was at the training that the State Tax Commission does every year. One of the things they had pointed out was the need for splitting out what your property tax certification is and then what the replacement money is. So the certification is what we are asking them to then go and collect from current taxpayers. The replacement monies are those, there's ag tax replacement. So as the legislature goes through various bills that pass, they exempt personal property up to $100,000. They then increased it up to $200,000. Is what they've done is in those years when they have made those changes, they take a snapshot of how much revenue would be collected based on those assessed values that they have then exempted. And the general fund, those monies come directly to us from the general fund. It is not taxed annually. It comes out of the state general fund. So it's money the district is guaranteed regardless of certifying it.
Okay, so this is money that the state is sending to us in place of previously anticipated property tax revenues because of legislation. They're giving it directly out of the general fund instead of it coming through property tax because the tax laws changed.
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, correct. It's a snapshot. So it doesn't change based on the values. It doesn't change. It's a snapshot of at the time that they reduced or increased the personal property tax exemption. They took a snapshot of how much we then weren't receiving and have that all allocated out by jurisdiction and then send that to us.
And this property tax certification amount that we're showing, that is, we're taking last year's property tax certification, increasing it for new construction, and that's it. Is that correct? That's what we've done, is it not? That's my recollection.
No, Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, has discussed throughout the budget presentations, the proposed property tax certification for fiscal year 25 includes the new construction roll. It includes a 3% increase. It includes a 1% increase for M&O coming from our foregone balance and a 3% capital project increase from our foregone. The capital project, 3% attributable to State and Pierce Park specifically, which we will have to notate in our certification. New construction roll accounts for $1 million or a little less of that increase.
So that's good
Okay.
for me. So for the.
Any other questions? I guess my only question that I have for you, Christine, is, the total revenue, 238,853,000 is less than the expenditures printed on this. So I'm just curious why that isn't the same number for a total expenditure.
Oh, let me,
I
Madam
see the same
President, I might need to
numbers.
take a look at your copy because my
Mine
copy
says
is
two hundred and
balanced.
39, so it's in 206.
Or for a fiscal year 25 specifically is what we're
Oh,
looking at.
see, sorry, I was like looking at 26, my
That's
bad.
okay.
I was like, wait a minute.
I was like, that 3 could look like it's.
Thank you.
8.
Yes,
That's
no, yes, there we are.
Yep, fiscal year 25.
Got it.
That's okay.
Failed to stop Christine.
I feel like I did though last time, just a little bit. You did really, really well though. Okay, that sounds good. Any questions? Commissioner Hanson, did you have something? Looked like you were going to.
No, I just want to point out it's the frustration I have and I'll reserve whether on at the end of the month when we vote on this, whether I'm comfortable taking the 3%. Because at this point I'm not. But I know you publish at this level and you can always go the other direction, but you can't do the reverse. And with the capital budget for fiscal year 25 in the area I represent, getting $9.8 million of that capital budget and another district getting 36.9 million. And that disparity is pretty consistent throughout the years. So the property tax values, I don't know, are they equal? Of the 5 areas, are they equal amongst the cities? And we still haven't seen that. I don't know what, and I think it's really critical to have a debate on this, is to know how much, because it's most of these capital projects in the area I represent have to be paid for with property taxes. And we heard just on the previous item, those capital expansions can use impact fees and strategic initiatives and so forth. So we represent the same number of people, same number of property owners, roughly the same number of people who register cars. So I just want to make sure that there's a level playing field amongst those who are footing the bill.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Christine.
Thank you.
And then we just have an executive session, so we'll meet in the back and we'll see you all next week.